Hey everybody, welcome to today's video. Honoree, how are you doing, man?
Fantastic. Thank you. I think it's your birthday today, isn't it? As we're recording.
Uh, yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Happy birthday, Lucas.
Thank you. I've never felt so alive. I'm 24 today. It's great. All right, plus 20, 44. It's gonna be okay. We didn't
Okay.
drop a
All
date.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, I can
It's all
say those
good.
things and I feel okay about it, but like maybe in 10 years I'll have to lie about my age or something. I don't know.
Nah,
Yeah.
just keeps getting better. You're still a youngster.
That's what my dad tells me, but I don't know if I can believe him because he's told me a lot of other crazy things too.
Oh, nice. Very good. Very good. Leave it to dad. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So in the last two videos, we were talking about what we fondly refer to as the three-legged stool in business. And we had
Yeah.
discussed books, courses, and workbooks. And then we talked about paid speaking gigs, and that was all great. And
Yeah.
today we wanted to talk about workshops, which you and I have quite a bit of experience with. And I was hoping that maybe you could take us through your experience with workshops, and then I'll kind of tag on to what I experience now with courses and workshops. So when did you get into doing workshops, and what brought you to that product?
My my first real experiences with workshops were when I was doing my direct sales network marketing business back in the 90s. And so a lot of that education about the product is just doing a workshop, right? Like setting Lysol on fire because it's very flammable and then putting it out with my germicide product that does not let your house burn to the ground and kill you while you're sleeping, things like that. So it was a lot of education. And those were really
Nice.
the first workshops that I did. And then as I transitioned into business and executive coaching, I started doing workshops for professionals, teaching them how to network, how to do business development, how to be better with their time management skills, those sorts of things.
Gotcha. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
you found it through, like, I guess, network marketing. Was kind of like your intro to that, huh?
I think so. I think it's where I got the skills for teaching a dense amount of content, like high amounts of content that was valuable to the audience in a short amount of time. That's how I view workshops.
Mm.
Is it's something where I can come in front of someone, provide them with information, give them some action items, right? It's a workshop, so we're all working, not just the speaker,
Right. Yeah.
right? Not unlike a
Right.
keynote presentation or something where you're just speaking. It's like a workshop is, in my mind, much more interactive. And so I was asking questions and getting feedback and sharing insight and information and getting questions and providing information to counter that. So to me, that's what a workshop is. And so I developed those skills in those original instances. And then when someone asked if I could do this type of a thing over here in this type of an environment, it made sense to me that I could.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, we had we being the guys in the military, we had a lot of exposure to this method of instruction in training, right? Because most of our
Right.
training was hands-on, and they were like, all right, we're going to go do this. They'd teach you about it, give you all the safety, then you go out and do it. And so when I
Yep.
retired and went into the commercial sector as a consultant, I would always sign up to do workshops at conferences, right? So we would go to like the maintenance and
Yep.
reliability engineering conferences, and we would do workshops because a lot of those learners in that industry are hands-on, and they actually place a higher value on being able to do the thing in a room with
Yeah.
people that are educating them rather than just sit through, like you said, a presentation or a speech, or even just a course. So it was very apparent to me in that space that courses were great, workshops were better. And then if you had a course that had a heavy lab or workshop element to it, then that's like the best of both worlds because you get the deep dive and the knowledge. And then in the workshop, it's so deep on application. So when we were doing workshops in the military, we didn't know they were workshops. They were just active training environments. And then again, in
Right.
the commercial
Yeah.
sector, I got to go to the conferences and get into workshops with a couple of my mentors in that space who that's how they made their living. They actually would go to conferences, not pay for exhibition booths. They wouldn't put $1 on the floor for an exhibition booth. They would do a series of speaking presentations. And then they'd also do the workshops, and the workshops were always paid events, whereas the speaking presentations are not.
Right.
Um,
Right.
the only thing for people that might be considering doing that, and this is just occurring to me, that are thinking about doing that in like a conference environment, make sure you talk to the conference host to see if any of the money that's gathered for workshops goes to you as the person hosting or presenting the workshop, because a lot of times those go straight to the organization
Yeah.
that's sponsoring the event, right? And they might
Yep.
give you some of it.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you experience the same thing in the author community?
So as far as the author community goes, all of the speaking that I've done at conferences, and this is not to discourage anyone because there are conferences that pay, but the indie author community is what I'm mostly a part of, and it's a relatively new industry. So there are conferences, but generally the speakers, all of us who were ever asked to speak, were doing so as kind of a give back. And if we happen to have books or courses or programs that we were selling, fantastic. Most of the time, though, I would not only speak, but I would provide copies of my book to the audience or my books to the audience. Now, that's not to say that your industry is the same. And if you want to make a living at something, then you definitely can't give it away for free, right? It has to be
Right.
a paid opportunity. However, if we kind of segue into how can someone turn this into a career, you have to be really good. You have
Yeah.
to be compelling. You've got to have a lot of content. And the way to get really comfortable in front of an audience is to do it over and over and over and over so that it is absolutely automatic. You have no stage fright. You don't have any fear of public speaking. You can roll with the punches. I can't tell you how many in-home presentations I did back in the day, right? Where we were in military housing. There were 20 people crammed into the living room. We were in housing built in the 50s. So it was single wall construction. There were 11 billion children like in the bedrooms above my head. I thought for sure the ceiling was going to come down around me. And at some point as a presenter, you just are able to, and maybe this is being a mom, right? But you're really just, and I don't know if you're able to do this too, Lucas, but I can just literally tune things out.
Yep.
Like the fire alarm can be going off as long as there's no water coming down on me. My microphone doesn't work. People are being rude and heckling. Cell phones are going off. The world is coming to an end and I'm just in the zone, right? Like nothing really bothers you once you get your sea legs, right? To just kind of stick with the military reference. And so because I had done so many presentations where everything that could go wrong went wrong, anyone, some people don't think anything of, forget about being rude online where people are behind a microphone. People will be rude right to your face and like say something controversial just to be obnoxious. And so once you get the feel for it, you'll be able to not only provide really valuable information, you're going to be super comfortable in front of an audience. You're going to connect with the people in the audience. People who are going to like you are going to like you. They're going to want you to come back. Presenters want you to be great. The audience wants you to be great. Like they came to your workshop because it has a title that's compelling. You have information and knowledge and expertise they want. They want you to give them great information. I think it's a great compliment when I see the pens come out and the paper come out, or like the phones come out and people are taking notes. That's a huge sign to me that what I'm sharing is valuable to people. And so if you're starting out and you think, gosh, I want to make a living doing workshops, it seems to me that having a small group of people who pay a nice amount of money for my knowledge and expertise would be a fine way to, put some numbers up on the board in your business. Then go get some experience, go find conferences and situations, even go to your public library and just put out like, I'm doing this topic, and have people come and just practice your material. Get to where someone can ask you a question and you can say, I have an answer, and you've got 3 things that you can rattle off. And people go, I've never heard it that way before. Thank you for that information. That's my advice on getting started with workshops anyway.
Yeah. And in the course creation space, I often have people that have courses and they're interested in how to deliver them in a live fashion. And I always ask them, okay, can you extend some of your course material into a workshop? Because it takes you beyond just a live delivery of your course. That's obviously also an option. But when they start thinking outside the box a bit, sometimes people would just prefer to have your workshop. And so, take the hands-on elements of your course, take the fundamentals, put them together, deliver the workshop in person, and just plan on it being predominantly, working together through the things. And we've done them where, like you had said, they're great for lead generation. Those people
Yes.
I told you about at conferences, the reason why they were not upset that they weren't making money on conference workshops, even though it was a lot more work than like a presentation was because we'd leave that room and 3 or 4 people in that room would contact them for consulting jobs throughout the year.
Yep.
And they were making money off the post workshop contracts and
Right.
consulting agreements. In the training space, often what happens is people will find your course, become a fan of your course, or find your book, or find articles, whatever kind of content you're creating and distributing, and they want that hands-on guidance, and they'll sign up for your workshop specifically to cut like right to the chase and
Yep.
do the thing. So, for an example, if you were an author and you have a book and you wanted to create a course, you might have a workshop for someone in that situation that's like creating your outline for your course based off of the content of your book, right? That could be a workshop in itself. Or if you're a writer, and you're trying to help someone write a book, it could be like, hey, how do we title, outline, and assemble the framework for your book, right? That could be
Yes.
a workshop. So we were always like focused specifically on some core element of the course that had a lot of action component, but it also had significantly high value to the learner in a way that maybe it's a bit more complex than they've been able to figure out on their own. So it could
Yes.
be a lot of the content in the book or in the course that's complex that they just aren't as confident with unless they've got someone with them. And those are the kind of things we would run workshops with. Um, at the university, as a professor, sometimes I would ask my students if they wanted to stay after to go over like additional parts of material. I almost viewed
Mhm.
workshops that way. If I had my
Yeah.
students go through my class, what thing would I stay after to work on with them? And that would,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, that would kind of be the thing that required a deeper dive and a little bit more application. That's kind of where we'd go.
Yeah.
So on the topic of monetizing workshops,
Yeah.
um, do you think that you should market or present a workshop to your audience in a different way than you do other products, or do you use a similar approach to that of like
Um,
books and courses?
Well, so I think webinars in a way are a workshop, at least the way I do webinars, because mine are very high content and I'm giving people actionable advice. I did do a workshop when I first moved to Nashville, like within a few months of moving to Nashville, I did something called Bagels and Books, the least you need to know to write and self-publish your book. And it was just 3 hours
I love that.
and it was $500. It was like, I had a little conference room where I was living. It was really cool. This building had just like a unique space, a unique vibe. It was a recording studio at one time. So it was kind of decorated like music scene in Nashville. And so I just kind of put it out in the world and just said, I'm going to do this workshop and I have this course, right? So I have publishing PhD, but that's a bigger ticket item.
Yeah.
At the time, it was $5,000. I taught it live. And so people were like, I'm not really sure. Do I get a lot of content? Do I get a lot of value? Because there's a lot of stuff out there and a lot of it's very good, but sometimes it's not as meaty as you would like it to be. So I thought I'm just going to give them a taste of the action in this 3 hours. I'm going to go over a couple of the really important things that they need to know. And so I picked 3 segments of the publishing process, the writing and publishing process that I felt like if I never talked to them again, they would at least be able to see what a self-published book looks like versus a published book, right? Or a professionally published book. And they would be able to meet those criteria and they would have a way to outline their book. And so they had like really concrete action items and I just had them for 3 hours. And so I ordered in bagels, right? So I got bagels and books. And we just did that 3 hours together. And most of those students ended up taking some other course or even joining a mastermind at some point down the road, because it was really a way for us to spend some time together, for them to understand my teaching style and then create that relationship with them. So I do think that when you are doing some kind of a workshop, marketing it like you do anything else. Have your landing page, have your invitation, have a way for people to pay you, a way for people to sign up for it, like all of those things, like have your basic, client journey ready, so
Right.
that when you put it out there and someone says, gosh, I can't believe it, this is exactly what I didn't know I needed, or this is really what I was looking for, they are ready to go. So it's not just, I think I'm going to throw together a workshop at the library on Saturday. It's really like, I'm going to do a workshop at the library on Saturday. And what is the promise? How much is it going to cost? How is someone going to pay me? What are the benefits that they're going to get? What are the materials that they're going to leave with? So I gave everybody a copy of the book and the workbook and collateral materials and things to fill out and to do. And I think that that's a really key part of a workshop. And I think you'll probably agree with it. The collateral materials are important. People need to have a place to write things down, even if you have, kind of a fill in the blank, right? It's like, here's what we're going to talk about, but they really understand that they've got what they need and then some place to put some other notes.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you mentioned this space you were in, like, you had a conference room, or a similar type space at your disposal. A lot of people are renting, those rent workspaces. They'll do like a preliminary sign up, and then based on the number of people that sign up for the workshop, they know what size room to rent. I like that you pointed out the library as well. I've never considered doing one at the library, but I think I might actually look into that as a way to give back a little bit locally, because that's a great way to reach your local, I guess you could say, neighbors, where they need a little bit of help. And it's a great lead in, just like with the conferences, it's a great lead generator if you can spend an hour or two with people. With the other thing that I think works really well is, depending on what kind of industry you traditionally work with or support, oftentimes those organizations, including businesses, will give you a space to conduct a workshop in. Obviously, it impacts the ability to generate revenue a little bit sometimes, but they may even hire you to put on the workshop for their employees.
Yes.
Which is something that we experienced a bit in the maintenance and reliability engineering space. They'd want you to come out and teach a course, but then they would tell you in the next breath, well, we're kind of hesitant to buy courses and training because, well, we're kind of hands-on. I'm like, yeah, there's a thing called a workshop I could put on for you guys and you'll love it.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
I need you to give me your conference room, and I need you to dedicate at least 8 bodies, and we need this much time. And then I need if you need like a smart TV or a screen projector or whatever. I don't know. Can we even use projectors anymore? Is that still a thing?
I get asked that all the time. Like, what's the technology you need when you're doing your event? I'm like, I'm the technology. I'm good.
Yep. Yeah.
And then coffee and go. We're totally fine.
Yeah. I used to do them at bases for project management prep courses. I would bring my laptop, provide them with online access.
The tape.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd have to bring like this 20-foot long cable, HDMI cable, my laptop. I'd have to bring all of these or get everyone signed up to the online course portal so they could access all the material before the event.
Yeah.
And I'd tell them, you got to have all this done before you walk in the room, because we don't have time to teach all this stuff. We need to get right to work. So they would do like a bunch of,
all right.
So
slave driver.
It was a little bit of a hybrid environment, but it's better than spending 8 hours
going over the basics.
Yeah.
Just to get them to the start line. That makes a lot of sense. I want to circle back on the library / conference room idea. If I were to do it in my town, I would just donate the proceeds to the library. They're always looking for fundraisers. So if, again, you need to get your feet wet and you need to get comfortable giving a presentation, do something at your library, let them put it out to their, constituency, to the community, and let them advertise it for you. You advertise it, and then you get some practice. as far as going into a company, I've actually had a company ask me to come in and not only provide the training to their employees, but to their best customers and their best clients. So they've said, well, if we have this many people, but could we have this many people and we'll pay you to do the whole thing, but then our best clients can attend and get the same value.
I like that.
And they loved that idea and the execution of it so much that then I duplicated it. So whenever I go somewhere now, I'm like, here is one way you can do it where it's just internal, but you can also, for almost the same price, right, have it so that your clients can benefit from this too. And this is a win-win-win, right? It's a win for me because I get the work. It's a win for you because you get to educate your staff, and it's a win for your clients because they get the value of this information that you've paid for. It's kind of like an added service, and it's not terribly expensive for them, but the return on that investment is very valuable. So you can actually say to a company, like, I'll teach this workshop in your company and you can have 6 people attend at no charge. Anybody above 6, then I'll charge you. Anybody above 6, I'd like to charge. And then you can still, kind of play the win-win game. Like, put yourself in their shoes. Like, what would they want in order to let you use their space?
Right. I love that. Now, and yeah, I hadn't considered offering it to the organization so that you can support their clients. That's a really good idea.
Yep.
I've got so much work to do now. Every time we do one of these, I have a work list.
You're welcome. I'm sorry. What? But also too, there are a lot of companies that have these boardrooms that love the idea of bringing people into their business and having exposure. So I see that all the time when I'm talking to people. It's like, they're like, how do we get people into our building? How do we get people to understand that we're here for them?
Yeah, we do that with local veterans organizations here, and also with like, they have a place in Virginia Beach called the Hive. It's funded by like this, I think it's like the regional, it's some commerce body for the region that's trying to build industry in the region. And they fund this location and this amazing conference rooms, and it's all free to the public. And you can come in and get educated on all these things that breathe life into the workforce.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's
That's
like a
so
regional
good.
workforce initiative, and the veterans transition space does the same thing. They'll have these organizations that are set up solely to do, I guess you could say, like a nonprofit work for veterans transitions. And they love having people come in and do presentations like that. And if you get 20, 30 leads out of that, then great, good for you.
Right. And ultimately you're either going to get leads or experience or income or all of the above. Right. And so that workshops really can be a lucrative way of spending your time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending your time talking about the workshops today. And I hope that you guys got something valuable. I'm sure you got something valuable out of this. Make sure you took down notes. If not, you can always go back and watch it again. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. And we've got one more video in the series coming out where we're going to talk about how you can substitute workshop in this particular video for coaching, because Honoree and I are both very passionate about coaching. And we've coached in very different spaces, and we've got a lot of cool experience with coaching and the way you can build your business with it. So check out that video next. So Honoree, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for your time, Lucas. As always, thank you.